Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Shea and Todd! I need this to be a good show. Year's got off to a difficult start. I don't know if you ever heard of the website Reddit. A friend of mine told me about it recently. He goes, you need to get on the Reddit, see what they're saying about you. I was buzzing. First comment I saw, Shea and Todd looks like he's transitioning and I don't know what way. I'm just looking in the mirror every day now like, that is spot on. That is... I'm so excited when I do shows down south, you know, because I love any trip down the M50. The reason I love it is I am a big apple green guy. I fucking... Oh, no, you just have it too good. You don't know how good you have it. I didn't know you had it too good until I started going around different towns and villages here. Yous have, I didn't know this, not just the big giant motorway apple greens. Yous have wee cheeky apple greens. Listen, see when you're from the north, fucking Disneyland, going into Apple Green. Oh, I am pumped when I go to Apple Green. Sometimes I just go up and down the motorway for a shower at Apple Green. You go and get a sausage roll and a wash, like, I love it. Coolest night of my life was at the end of last year. I was doing Dublin, doing the Olympia Theatre in Dublin. And coming back down the road, show was over a little bit late. I went, you know what? We Apple Green stop on the way back. Now, I'd stopped on the way up. Say nothing. But Dundalk on the way up, I was like, I'm not going to go to the same Apple Green again. We'll call in at Lusk, right? We'll double up. We'll vary it up, okay? I don't know how you play the Apple Green game, but I go in there with no plan. Some people I see, they're like, I'll just pay for my fuel, maybe grab a packet of crisps at the till. I don't know what I'm getting. I don't have a CD player in my car. I buy CDs at Apple Green. And I don't know who's in charge of curating the CDs of Apple Green, but this person's lost their mind. It's never just like the top 20 CDs. It's like a kind of existing artist or album, but then there's a slant on it at Apple Green if you look closely. There'll be like a Dubliners album, you're like, oh, fair enough, and then you look closer, on the Pan Pipes. You're like... the hits of Daniel O'Donnell on the spoons. I'm like... fucking €4 well spent there. I love it. And I did the gig in Dublin. I was coming back up a motorway. No one really around at this time. I go to walk in. The doors aren't opening. I was like, oh fuck. ISIS. They're wanting to get to the heart of the Irish people. Like, if this is how I go, this is how I go. And then I realised, because I looked over, and there was a wee guy working there. I'm like, what's happening? Take a step back. See, there's a guy at the tills looking out the window, wee guy that works in there. And he just looks at me, I look at him, and he goes... I was like, what do you mean? Guy goes... Now, I played charades before, right? I was like... No, I wasn't 100% sure, right? I was like... We're in hatch time. It's the hatch. I reckon a lot of people in here, you might be confident enough to use the hatch. You might know yourself well as a person. You might be able to go up to that hatch and go, yes, diesel at pump 8, salt and vinegar crisps and a can of Coke, and he goes and gets it and comes back. It's the pressure of the line, and also, see when they go, what do you want? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Here's what I really want to say. I want you to put a GoPro on your head for me, mate. And just dander around the shop, and I'll be in a wee earpiece outside. What's that over there? Have a look at that. The ultimate Christy Moore in Spanish. I don't know what's going to happen here. I was like, oh no, I really want to break up my trip, but I don't want to use the hatch system. It puts me under too much pressure. That's why this was the coolest night of my life. This guy goes, and he goes, and he didn't know my name, but he's like, are you? And here's the thing: no matter who he thinks I am. I am me, like, no matter what. So I was like, guy can't believe it. He goes, and he goes, puts his hand under the desk. The automatic door's open. I look at him and he goes, I've been doing stand-up for 18 years. People go, what's the ultimate goal? And I think they mean like a Netflix special. The ultimate goal is an after-hours VIP apple green dander. Oh. And then people in the queue for the hatch start seeing me because I'm just behind the guy who works there, just like... I was there for like 2.5 hours. I remember a guy looking at me and being like... It went to my head, I was like... And I felt like the coolest guy in the world. I was like, this is why I do stand-up. I went up to the till, paid for whatever I was getting. Guy working there just gives me a nod, gives me a wink, and I said, mate, I just want to say, thanks very much. This is the coolest moment of my life. If you ever want tickets for a show, either side of the border, you let me know. The guy goes, what show? I said, one of mine. You know, obviously, I know you know who I am if you want to come to a show. He said, you're Martin's cousin. You're Martin's cousin who works in Subway here? I was like, I am now. I was like, yeah. I don't have a cousin called Martin who works in Subway, but I was like, oh, fuck. He knows his way around the BMT anyway, boy. I just have to keep that pretense up any time now I go to that Apple Green. You know, even when I'm not buying stuff, it's like some days when I'm just walking out of there in a pair of flip-flops with a towel over my shoulder, and I'm like... Martin loves sandwiches. He's in it for the art. Love coming down here. I'm not a politics guy, you know. I just have no real sort of opinion on it. I was doing an interview about this tour. I do the same interview every year. They go, you excited about the tour? Where are you playing? What's the show about? And I tell them. Being from the north, the first thing people do is put you in a box. And when I started doing stand-up, that's what people tried to do with me. What religion is this guy? And I would get asked a lot. I was doing the interview for the stand-up tour that I'm doing, and the journalist brings it around to politics. Because that week where I was doing the interview, there was a big conference in the arena in Belfast, and it was called Ireland's Future, and it was about the idea of bringing forward a referendum for Unite Ireland. And everyone was talking about it. And the journalist, after asking me, you know, he's like, where are you playing that you haven't played before? Then he goes, Shane, while I have you, could I ask you some political questions about this call for the referendum on United Ireland? And I said, no. I'm a comedian. Why would you want to ask me that? The guy goes, I think people would want to know where you stand on Northern Irish politics. I was like, I'll tell you where I stand. So far away that you can't see me. I stand round a corner and in the distance. I stand that far. I'm a wee speck in the distance. That's how far I stand back. The guy goes, if you don't get off the fence eventually, you might get a splinter in your arse. I said, mate, I would rather have a splinter in my wee bum than a bullet in my actual head. I'll take the sore bum. I don't want to die. So the interview goes out anyway, and it's just me talking about stand-up. There's no mention of anything other than this stand-up tour, the places I'm going to play, all this kind of thing. Same interview I do every year. But even when you avoid politics, people will still get into it. Interview goes out. Shane Todd heading on another tour. We picture me in the front, holding a microphone. Nothing about politics in any way. First comment, this guy's definitely Catholic. One comment under that, I was like, finally the voice of reason. I was like, someone's going to say, like, why would you bring that up? Why is that relevant? Pretty sure Shane's like, no religion, so why are you talking about it? Or whatever you'd say, you know, just the voice of reason. Someone being like, you know, just leave a wee guy alone. You know, he's doing his best. You know, he's trying to bring here out of the, you know, the dark age, single-handedly trying to just sort of, you know, cute wee guy. Whatever you'd say, great skin, you know, for. The one comment under that, Catholic, 3 question marks and an exclamation mark? I don't think so. Look at his face. What's going on? What I can really describe is a religious auction started underneath that comment. Everyone getting involved. No, he's this. No, he's that. We want him. We don't want him. We'll trade you somebody else for him. It was going back and forth, and in the end, I had enough. I don't want to be put in the box. I'd rather you just knew me as like, you know, like a handsome comedian. Maybe me just coming out and answering this would just stop a lot of this shit. And started this tour, I was like, you know what? I'm a 36-year-old man. I got 2 kids. What example am I setting by dodging this question that clearly everybody needs the answer to? And I'll tell you, on this tour, I'm just coming out and saying it as it is. A lot of people think I won't. Oh, you'll not do it. Hey, I'm coming, and hey, look. Hey. I'll come out, I'll tell you right now, if you fucking, yeah, no problem. If you, listen, if you want to know, I'll come out, I'll have the balls to say it. I'll just say right now, if the question is, what religion am I? Listen, at the end of the day, I am, I'll tell you this right now to your faces, I am whatever I need to be, okay? Yeah, 100, yes. We can all agree I have the right attitude. For the right fee, I will be whatever you need me to be. Finally, someone has the class to come out and say, if you're booking me for a gig, I ask one question, where's the gig? Then I do my research and I'll be that religion. I have no problem. I have no spine. I'm more than I like to think of myself as religious fluid. I'm more than willing to just flip-flop between them on any given day as well. I'll jump around between them. If it's cash, are we talking cash in hand? I'll be any of them. Say you run a business tonight, we want you to do this gig, but we're all this religion, so we like our performers to be of that religion, so sorry we can't book you. Listen, see, for the right money, I'd put on one of the wee beanies. You know what? I'll stick a wee beanie on. I'll do your gig. No problem. I don't know if they call that a wee beanie, but those boys... I'm talking about the boys with the cold ears, you know? Do you think over time enough of those guys could have got together and be like, can we make these bigger? Because... not practical at all. Quaker, no problem. No problem. Easy, I'd be a Quaker. I don't know if I've got any Quakers in. I don't know a lot about your ethics. I just know this. When it comes to breakfast products that you guys are churning out... That's mad to be into both of those things. Like, as a religion, you're like, we do all this religious stuff, and then also porridge. You know? Probably, I don't know if it's controversial, probably the #1 religion when it comes to having their own signature breakfast range. Other comedians won't say that. I'll say it. And I don't know if there's religions with other breakfast products. Maybe I'm just not looking close enough. You know, Muslim muesli, does it exist? We don't know. Some actually do. Orange juice. I prefer to celebrate the stuff that brings us together. You know, I'm not interested in the stuff that makes us different. There's things we all do together. And they go, but what is that thing? I'll tell you right now, everyone that lives in the island of Ireland, it's our unique attitude towards speed camera operators. See, worldwide, no one does it like us. No one has the attitude and opinions that we do on speed camera operators. Here's what I mean by that. The people by the side of the road who try and catch you speeding. See, around the world, they respect these people. They see it as like road safety awareness. They get behind it. You know, they're high standing in other societies. Ireland is the only part of the world, north and south, where these poor bastards are in armoured vans. They don't get out here. They can't get out. And an American friend of mine went, is that like health and safety? I was like, people will cave their heads in with bricks. You don't tell Irish people not to do 138 and a 20, okay? Telling me to keep it down outside of school, I'll speed up, all right? Speed camera operators are the lowest people in Irish society. Speed camera operators, paedophiles. Not a lot in it. There's a no man's land in between those with traffic wardens just How do they get like an accurate reading if someone is speeding? We're not that bad. We cut a slit out the back of the van just big enough. These people never get an accurate reading. They are the scaredest people. Here's how you know we fucking hate speed camera operators. Do you know anyone who does that as a job? How's that possible? How does no one know no one that does it? Someone does it. Somebody does that job, but they have to lie about it because they're that scared because they live in Ireland. There used to be other jobs in our society you had to lie about if you do it. I guarantee you when speed camera operators leave their houses, they put Tesco polo shirts on. Fruit and veg aisle for me today. You want to know how much we detest speed camera operators? I've got an experiment. Monday morning, go on Facebook, even if you haven't used your Facebook in a while, and all you need to write up is one sentence if you want to see what I'm talking about. All you say is, and people will know what you mean by this, the bastards are out. Insert your nearest main road and just leave 2 emojis, the camera and the rat. Then you just kick back and enjoy that comment section. Guaranteed. See if you put that up anywhere else in the world. Like a wee quaint village in England. Oh, guys, there's a speed camera out in the main road. The first comment would be like, fantastic. Great to see. Hopefully less deaths on the roads. Praying hands emoji. If you do that in Ireland, I guarantee you do this on Monday. If you write up you've seen a speed camera out your main road, guaranteed first comment in capital letters, dirty rat bastards. Everybody gets involved in that comment section, and I mean everyone. Your granny's mate. See if I got my hands on these dirty jobs worth low life, but the things I do, and you're like, Muriel, what are you doing? You don't even drive. Well. If your kids grew up to do that, like as a job, you'd have to lie about it. You couldn't tell your friends. You'd be proud of your kids that they got a job, but you'd lie. Friends years ago, what about your son? I heard he got a job. That's brilliant. What's he doing? You go, he's, well, yeah, working. He's working. No, but specifically, what's he doing? Well, he's a paedophile. He's a... yeah. He's a big old pedo. Aha. There's worse he could be doing, let me tell you. Only thing worse in Ireland than a speed camera operator. Speed camera operator who's also a pedo. A bit of a... Imagine he catches you. You're like, come on man, I was doing under the limit. He goes, hey, nothing wrong with that player, you know? Speedophile. Guys. Traveling with stand-up's brilliant. Last year got to go to Dubai, got to go to the Middle East, do a gig. What an experience that is. Made the mistake of telling some of my friends who have never left Belfast before that I was going to the Middle East, and they started telling me, which was very handy because they've never been the way it is out there. See, if I go to your house, I'll respect the rules of your house. Might not be the rules I have in my house, but that's your rules. If I go to your house, anyone in tonight, if I go to your house and at the front door you go, sorry, we actually, we take our shoes off in this house at the front door. We just leave them at the side. I go, no worries, I take my shoes off, I'll be in my socks in your house. Tell you this, I'll never go back to your house. Because that's 10 out of 10 mental. I will never... Do you make people take shoes off going into their house? Why are you pointing at this guy? Do you do that? You're a feet pervert. I know your game. I know your game. Because my uncle was like that. I'll be honest, my uncle was like that. Whenever I was growing up, my uncle was like that in his house. Straight away, you come in the house, you go, shoes off, shorts off, t-shirt off. I'm not. And I'd heard about like the way you dress. Don't show too much skin when you're in the Middle East. I heard about that. Every night we left the hotel for our dinner, I would sort of, just to be sure, I would sort of present my wife to the hotel reception staff on the way out for like a quick sort of... And every night, the local hotel reception staff, they were always like, it's no problem. And on our last night, we got dressed up for a fancy dinner. She goes to walk out. I'm like, you wait there, make her wait behind a wee pillar. And so bad. I go out, and there's a local guy that works there, and he's been there every night. And I get his attention, and I go, come on out. And he looks over at us. Oh my God. This guy, he looks like he's seen a ghost. He goes absolutely white. Well, not white, but like beige, right? This guy, he freaks out. And he's like, no, and he's waving his hands. He's like, no. My wife goes bright red, and then everyone's kind of looking. And he basically goes on to say that he's like, denim hot pants? No, that's a no-go. That's the line. And my wife goes bright red. She's raging. I have to go to the room and get changed. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I've come back. That's on me. After the trip, when we were flying back, my wife was like, can I say it's not like that weren't really attractive the way you behaved when we were out there? Just being so scared of everything there, like, and not wanting to get in trouble. She's like, that's not very masculine, like, that's not attractive. I said, excuse. Who are you? And I was like, I'm just worried that we get in trouble and you go to jail and you'd have a bad time here. And my wife went, what makes you think you would be fine in a Middle Eastern jail? I said, are you stupid? I was like, I'm Muslim. Until we land, and then whatever the taxi driver taking us home is, I'm not. So when I was away, I got chatting to a guy, and if you're from where I'm from, they bring back the same thing. This guy said to me, oh my God, he said, the politics in Northern Ireland, he said, is that still tribal? I rolled my eyes and went, yeah, unfortunately, yeah. Now here's the thing, I don't know what that word means. I was like, I Googled it, I was like, it is. And people go, what does that actually look like? And I go, I don't know a lot about politics, but I'll tell you this, what I do know is two main parties, this is my reading of it. We've got Sinn Féin and DUP, the Nationalist Party, the Unionist Party, and here's the only rule, they can never agree on the same thing. Like, they're not allowed, it's in the rules, they're not allowed to ever be like, yes, snap, we think that too. What I remember as an example of that is, about 15 years ago, there was talk about a referendum for gay marriage being recognised in the North. The DUP, like, they didn't want that at all. So they released like a statement, they had a press conference, and they basically said, like, there'll be no referendum while we're in power. They said, it goes against God, we will not recognise gay marriage, no way. Because they did that, the rules being the rules, Sinn Féin had to just come out the same day and be like, here, we love it. Journalists were like, what does that mean? You love what? They're like, you fucking know. All the gay shit, fucking. Oh, why? DUP released a statement saying no referendum. Sinn Féin released an official party statement saying, yeah. And they've had to go opposite directions, you know? Sinn Féin have really bought into, like, the Equal Rights Party. So in the North, they're like, listen, LGBTQ plus rights, that's us, we believe in that, we're all for that. I was talking to a friend recently, and he said this, don't say I said this, well, he's not a friend, but, and I don't know if it's true, but he was saying that at the next Sinn Féin party, Ardèche, right, which is, yes, obviously Irish for Ardèche, that Sinn Féin are going to have drag artists perform at the party conference. I can categorically say, at the next Sinn Féin party Ardèche, they will not have drag artists perform. They won't go to that level. For those guys to recognise any kind of queen, I don't think it'll happen. Travel's brilliant. I got to go on a trip last year with my dad, January last year. My dad's a wee old guy, long white hair, wee white beard. My dad's 5'4". My dad's a wee tiny old man. And my dad, at the end of the year before that, my dad started dropping all these hints that he would love me and him to go to New York. Like, we'd be having lunch or something, and my dad would be like, dropping hints, you know, he'd be like, oh, imagine you took me to New York. What's he trying to say? I'm trying to read between the lines. And He would send me photoshopped images of me and him outside the Empire State Building. Like. My dad has always been like really big supporter of mine. Like at 17, I said I want to start doing stand-up. At 18, I started doing stand-up. And it's a mad job to kind of go into. You know, my dad would say like, didn't I always support you? You know, I always supported you. And I'm like, yes, but unfortunately only ever emotionally, you know, which... it's the worst one, you know. Some people disagree. My dad's like, no, I always gave you a hug and said you can do it. What's better than that? I'm like, $1,000. In cash, $1,000 in cash. My dad had the idea that we would be there in the summer. I filtered the price on Skyscanner by month. And it was way cheaper to go in January. Like, because my dad, he was an apprentice mechanic when he was like left school at 14 to be a mechanic, and he got exposed to asbestos in his lungs, so he really gets it tight in winter. I surprised him Christmas Day. I went, we're going to New York. My dad couldn't believe it. I said, the only thing I will say is I checked and it's going to be about -10, so... You're going to New York, 50-50 on whether you're coming back. And we went, it was amazing. We did all the tourist stuff during the day, and then when it got dark, which was pretty early because it was a snow blizzard the whole time we were there. If you were in New York in January last year, you'd have seen my dad. He was the pensioner running around with the long white hair, the wee white beard, shorts, and a light fleece. That was the maximum he would go to. I've never seen my dad in a jumper or a coat or anything. And I asked him, our first day in New York, as the snow was going, and I'm in my like big thermals and my big coat and my hat and my gloves and everything, I said, why would you not bring like a massive coat? I swear to God, through the snow, I couldn't really hear him. My dad said something about being straight, and I'm like, I don't need to hear that again, whatever that was. You keep it, all right? You keep it. And then, because he has these memory issues, I fuck with him a bit. I went, you weren't always? He said, what? I remember Uncle Brendan. And on our last night, we were walking back to the hotel through a snowstorm. My dad pulled me to one side into like a shop doorway to get out of the snow. And my dad said, hey, imagine if the boys went for a wee drink. What about that? What do you think about that? I'm like, we have a combined age of 128. We could. Why are you saying it like it's naughty or something? Like, we'll be allowed, like. And my dad's teetotal, not for any reasons other than he just doesn't enjoy drinking alcohol. And I don't really drink. I drink like once, twice a year. I was like, you know what? If you don't go for a drink, we'll go for a drink. And my dad, God love him, 75. He started getting a wee bit hyper. Thought he was a big man. My dad goes, well, yeah. My dad goes, we'll go for a drink. We'll go for a drink, yeah. The boys going for a drink. 2 boys heading for a drink. Is that what we're doing? My dad goes, the city that never sleeps. We'll see about that. My dad goes, still be serving, would they? This time of night, would they still be serving? Getting late. I looked at my watch, it was 6:10. I was like, we'll give it a go, you madman. We walked past a few bars. My dad's like, they've closed early. Amateurs? I was like, they haven't opened yet. But we see an Irish bar right beside where we're staying. I went, that'll be the ticket. That'll be the way to go. Because even though it's cold outside, we'll get a warm welcome in there. Might be like a roaring fire, a bit of traditional music. That'll be perfect. And we'll cross the street, and I'm sort of walking but holding my dad down, you know, like on the shoulders, holding him down. Because he's like that old and frail. If I don't, he's just, in the snowstorm, he's just going to, you know, like a wee plastic bag. We go to walk in this Irish bar. I go to walk in. You've got to walk past the doorway, so there's a door and then another door into the bar, and he's just there stopping you. And he holds his hand up to my face. I go to walk in first, and he goes, ID, buddy. That's a welcome I got. ID, buddy. I can't believe it, I'm 36. I haven't been ID'd going out back home in like 28 years. So I was like, you know, people who know maths love that. People in Wicklow who know sums. What a night. What a night. I showed him my passport, right? Because I have, if you're keen to know, what does he have? I have a passport. And what kind of passport? I have an Irish passport and a British passport that I cut down the middle. And then I've glued them. I call it a peace passport. I'm kidding. You would need to see my passport to know that. Because you wouldn't necessarily know by looking at me. Like a lot of men in Ireland, a lot of men look like they're from here, unmistakably are from here, just by looking at them. And you know kind of what age they are, you know where they're from. But I'm quite vague. Just if you look at my face, if I stole your bike and you were giving a statement to the police and they went, what age was this guy? 19 to 42. You're like... I could be any nationality. He sees my Irish passport, then he knows. But before that, you wouldn't know. Because if you didn't hear me talk, I could be... See his face. I could be from more countries in the world than not. I could be from here. I could be French. I could be German. I could be from cold parts of Spain. I could be so easily Polish. Guys, yes, watch my impression. This will blow your mind. Watch my impression of me being Polish. How does he do it? It says male on my passport. Hey. Not your fault if you need to see that, you know, to confirm it. Because let's face it, on the brow of a hill, you don't know I'm not Ellen DeGeneres. In the right trouser suit. There she is. There she is. I get why you need to see my passport. So he says, go on ahead, sir. And I said to him, because I was excited, I said, father and son night out here. Now, my dad has his hand on the door because we can't get in yet. And the snow's hitting up my dad's back. It's piling up my daddy's wee back. I pass the doorman. I'm excited. I hear the doorman say, ID, please, buddy. I turned around and said, I showed you my ID. He's not talking to me. He's talking to the White Walker from Game of Thrones that I'm with. I laughed, my dad laughed, the doorman did not laugh. He said, where's this dude's ID that proves his age? I was like, probably on the wall of a cave. He's 75. He said, I need to see his passport. I said, you're seeing his face. Look at this wee thing. I said, you're probably asking yourself, is that a large ball bag or a man's face? Why are we still not in the bar? Guy goes, I need to see this dude's passport. The memory issues. My dad looked at me. My dad goes, it's in the hotel. I said, yeah, mate, this mad bastard thought he would live dangerously tonight and try and chance it. With only his 75-year-old face, which if you blew on it, dust would come off. Blow on my dad, mate, and watch what happens. Doorman goes, you need to prove his age or you gentlemen need to leave and go to another bar. And it's freezing and the snow's coming down. I had an idea. I looked that doorman dead in the face and I said, mate, without a passport, I can prove to you he's over 21. He said, I'd like to see you try. I said to my dad, lift your sleeve up. And I rolled the sleeve up. I pulled the skin on my dad's elbow and I said, you're telling me there's a chance? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Be all right, Dad. It'll be all right, Dad. I said, you're telling me you still think there's an outside chance that this guy is under 21? I was like, this is fucking... I don't know what way you treat people, but this is absolutely mental. Tied it up on a lamppost, and I came back over, and my dad was still there, and I said, listen, you're telling... Hey. I'll sort it. You guys Irish? We say, yeah. Guy goes, well, you're not in Ireland anymore. Different rules. This is New York. I said, mate, he's that old. The last time he was here, it was called New Amsterdam. That's the age of a man you're dealing with here. I said, you're a horrible guy. He said, I'm just doing my job, buddy. I was like, sometimes you make exceptions. So what do you mean? I said, I get that you have to be 21 or over to go here. I grabbed my dad's wee leather face and I said, if you think this guy is 20 and looks like this and goes through life looking like this but being university age, surely to God you wouldn't begrudge him a pint of whatever the fuck he wants before he dies of whatever reverse Benjamin Button disease you think he has. The doorman broke. He goes, gentlemen, if I turn my back, whatever happens, happens. I didn't see anything. I said, Dad, let's go. We're in. He didn't follow me. I was like, what's wrong? He'd frozen. He'd just frozen. Big ice cube. Doorman was actually a good guy. He helped thaw my dad out in the toilets under a hand dryer, both of us. Eventually, my dad thawed out and he's just lying there all wet in the ground. My dad got up. I said, Dad, we're finally getting this drink. My dad said, who the fuck said anything about a drink? We laughed about that, even though it was a bit stressful at the time and a bit silly at the time. And I'm from the sort of family where, I told you, we joke about anything. When I was 12, my granny faked her own death. I got told growing up so much that my granny was like not well and looking like she wasn't going to make it. And then my granny, being such a strong working class woman, would always just recover. And there was a McDonald's beside our local hospital. And more than a dozen times growing up, they'd be like, your granny's not looking good here. And then she would just show up back at the house with a Big Mac, like, swinging the ditties, like, just. And you knew that was going to happen. My granny's not well, she's back with the McDonald's in hand, it's all good. Whenever I was, about 12, my granny had been in hospital for about a week. And it wasn't looking great, but I was like, my granny always recovers. And my dad picked me up from school, and it was me, my dad, and my wee cousin was in the car, who was about 8. And my dad said, son, your granny's taking a wee bit of a turn. It's not looking good. We were speaking to the doctors. We're going to go up and see her. Have a wee think about what you might want to say to her. And that's at the age of 12. My granny, don't mind telling you, my granny's my best friend. Sounds silly, but my granny is the closest person to me in the world. And on the way up there, I was like, do I have it in me to speak to her at this time? You know, do I have the words? Am I mature enough to get across how much she means to me? What we didn't know is, what hadn't been fed back to us since my dad left his house, was the blood work had come back and my granny had made a bit of a recovery. And with the right medication, she was getting to go home. So she was waiting for the pharmacist to come round, give her the medication, and she was getting to go home. Now, this was the days before social media, and not everyone had a mobile phone. So my dad did not know that his mum, my granny, was getting to go home. But my granny knew we were coming up to see her, and she knew she was getting out. So being a week in hospital board, my granny decided to have a bit of fun, play a bit of a prank. My granny said to my Uncle Jim, who was sitting beside her all day in the chair, just doing a shift, you know, bringing her cups of tea, reading the stories out of the paper to her. My granny said to my uncle, when they come up, tell me when they're coming, I'll pull the sheet the whole way over me. You look at them and just go. And instead of my Uncle Jim going, I don't know, ma, like I like a laugh as much as an ex-man, but the kids especially might be sad if they think you've died. My Uncle Jim's like, I'm in, I'm all in. Do this shit. We go up to see my granny. I'm like, this is the last conversation I'm going to have with my granny. Oh my God, the significance weighed upon me as we walked up the ward to see her. Now, when you walk past that ward, from my granny's bed and sitting beside her, you could see people coming up from the tops of their heads. So they knew when it was going to happen. I'm the only person in my family who does this, like performs or, you know, does something like this on stage. Within my granny's house, when it was a full house of people, everybody was hilarious. Everybody could have been a comedian, but no one does this. And they should have. Like my Uncle Jim, he's not with us anymore. My Uncle Jim, he was sitting beside my granny. But this guy should have acted. He should have acted. Because he would have won every Oscar available. He took the brief from the director, my granny, and made it his own. We turned into this room to see my granny. For a split second to see her lying there, completely still under the covers. My Uncle Jim leaps up and into our child faces goes, she's dead! She's dead! Ah, fuck! She's dead. Ah, Jesus. Do you remember your granny? Not anymore. Dead. She just died there. Ah, fuck. The plan had been for my granny to pop up and do a quick reveal like the Undertaker from wrestling. But my granny had been pretty sick for the last week and she was old. The pop-up and reveal took a lot longer than anyone had planned. I'm talking 7 to 8 minutes of her just slowly getting up. Our heads were down. See, eventually when I heard my granny's voice go, I'm getting the McFlurry! I thought that was something she was passing on to me from the other side. My head was still down. I was going, why does she need me to know that? What does that mean? Does that mean, I tried to rationalise it. I was like, that obviously means, you know, because you're trying to do, if at first you don't succeed, I was like, a lot of times you go in the McDonald's, the McFlurry machine's broken. So Does that mean if you're trying to do something, you know, don't accept no for an answer? You know, go to a different McDonald's. She's saying go to a different branch of McDonald's and try and get the McFlurry. Turns out this bitch, fully alive, just wanted a Smarties McFlurry ASAP. My granny popped up, mentioned something about McFlurry. We saw that she was alive. My Uncle Jim burst out laughing. My granny burst out laughing. We started laughing. With tears in our eyes, me, my dad and my wee cousin, we start laughing. Let me point out, folks, this was an open ward. There was half a dozen other pensioners ringside to this in bed, just like, oh no. That's not right. But we laughed about it, and then we took my granny to McDonald's on the way home. Eating the McFlurry, having a laugh about half an hour ago when she pretended she was dead. Ah, you got us. Terrible thing about that is we all know the story of the boy who cried wolf.
Oh, Jesus.
A couple of weeks later, my dad picked me up from school. I got to get out early. My teacher was like, Shane, you go early. Your dad's waiting for you in the car park. Got into my dad's car. My dad goes, I don't know what to tell you, mate. He goes, your granny passed away this morning. I said, okay, yeah, right. Dead, is she? Yeah, okay. Definitely dead. If you say so, pull the other one, pal. All right. My own dad doing this to me. Okay, sure. But a week later, I was in my granny's house. I'm looking round. Aunties, uncles, cousins. It was like everyone in the black suits. You motherfuckers. I was like, oh, hey, joke's on Shane. Sick bastards. Like, open casket. I'm taunting her. I'm like, oh, you dead in there? Shut up, ruffling her hair and all. Well. Got a bit weirder about an hour later. I was sitting in the crematorium, like. I said, credit where credit's due, guys. Production-wise, this is 10 out of 10. And that was like 24 years ago, so either one of two things. Either legitimately my granny did die, and it wasn't a fake funeral, or this is a long prank, and I need it to end. You know, I'm like, okay, come on out, you know, joke's done. If they faked the death, like, that's funny, and I would respect it, and I would laugh. But, like, I feel like after a week would have been the time to sort of pop out. I'm like, 24 years? I was like, that's 24 years I could have had with my granny. So I'm saying, if you're, you know, if my family are planning the reveal, part of me is like, they'll do it, like, they'll want theatrics, you know? They'll do it in front of a crowd or whatever. I know what they're like, you know? So I'm always a wee bit, you know. If she's here, I know what'll get her out. How fucking freaky is that, Granny? You motherfucker, okay. If you asked me to put £100 on, I would never have said Wicklow. Wicklow? What's the significance, you know? What's weirder than me not thinking my granny's dead is that message tone. If she's out there, I know what'll bring her out, okay? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Nah, I think she's dead. Your McGrath's dead or alive, mate? What do you think? Dead? Why would you say that? What a way to end the special that would have been like. There was a funeral and stuff like it was. My granny's funeral was mad because I remember it because, as I say, my granny's my best friend and also something terrible happened to my granny's funeral. Oh my God. It was sad anyway, you know. I think we have a great etiquette around funeral buffets. There's not the fanfare around it that other functions have. You know, if you go to a wedding, some woman will go out, buffet's open, guys. You want to be the first one there. You race your mates, you pile your plate up, it's a good time. You stuff your face. Funeral, you want to be the last one up. You don't want to be the first one at the buffet. That gives out the wrong signal. And it'll be announced, but not with too much fanfare. Like some woman will come out, she'll be like, just let you know, folks, the buffet is open. If you have an appetite around bereavement, and you gotta act like you're not fucking starving. But I take one for the team at a funeral. I go up first because I have perfected the respectful but hungry funeral buffet walk. You need a hero to step up. It's not a sandwich. It's a suggestion of a sandwich. Tiny funeral food. That's what we're all about. You only take a wee sandwich because you nibble on that. You look sad. If you're tackling a 6-inch Subway at a funeral, disrespectful. And if you are thinking about catering a loved one's funeral with Subway, give me a shout because I can get you family discount. I can get you family discount on that. Yeah. Think about it. Eat fresh. At my granny's funeral, someone on the catering side of things thought it was fine and not at all disrespectful in the memory of my granny to fire out what I can only describe, without checking with the family, as a giant bowl of chicken wings. We would never have allowed this. And I don't mean dry wings, because that is sad. Are we dry wing? Nothing sadder, if you ask me. I'm talking about a trough of chicken wings swimming in barbecue sauce. That's a disrespectful bit. Wings are the most disrespectful funeral food. I'll tell you why. It's the admin that goes along with it. I was sad at my granny's funeral. People were paying their respects. I remember one particular person who paid their respect. It was an older guy. And it was loud at my granny's funeral. So many people sharing stories and sharing laughs. I didn't really know how to feel. And this old guy sort of pulled me to one side. I couldn't even really hear him. He was like old, so I could hardly hear him. So he brought me into like a wee side corridor from the function room. And it was sort of like a side corridor, and it was cold and a bit dark, but he was, he wanted to pay his respect. And he was saying the same things you do. This old man was looking at me and he's like, I just want to say, he said, beautiful service. Your granny was a fantastic lady. I want to tell you that. And I don't know you. I don't know you, but I'll introduce myself. But your granny, oh my God, you see your granny? Oh. Oh my God, see your granny. See your granny. Oh, what a woman. What a woman. I know your granny, but I don't know you, but I've seen you around. I've seen you around. And maybe we could get to know each other, because if you're anything like your granny, we'll get to know each other. I just want to say... Is it all over my face? Is it? I just want to... No. I want to... I said, Father, you haven't eaten yet? He said, no. No, I haven't. But, I haven't. This guy looked like he knew his way around the speed camera. And... that last bit isn't true, but the priest at my granny's funeral did say on his way out, and you should never have to say this to a bereaved family, he said, chicken wings at a funeral? Haven't seen that in all my time. That's wild. I shouted after him. I said, Father, you think that's wild? That old bitch isn't even dead. Guys, thank you so much for coming to this show. What a venue. What a crowd. Thank you so much, every single one of you. Thank you so much for having us. We'll be back again. You're a good night.